Hello and welcome to Meow Mix, a Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Jerry. Steven is under the weather. His kids gave him another sickness from preschool. Gotta love that. Gotta love that end of year type of cold weather passing it through the family. Thankfully, I am fine. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the Atlanta game coming up on Sunday. I know it's a little late coming out, but in all honesty, I felt like after last week's game in Tampa Bay, the whole team it looked like they were packing it in. They didn't start anybody. They put Chuba Hubbard on IR instead of letting him try to make something else happen this week or so. I expect the same thing to happen. I think Taylor Moton's going to be out and stuff. I mean, we have a laundry list of injuries, and I think that most of these guys are just going to sit, especially if they're planning to be here in the future, like Taylor Moton or someone like that, because there's no point. And I think that's kind of what they're going for. I could be wrong. They could really want to stop Atlanta from getting to the playoffs, but we could have done that last week, and it just looked like the front office was kind of packing it in and being more erring on the side of caution for the big guys that they have long-term futures with. But with that being said, I also want to discuss Ejero Evero, defensive coordinator. I know the end of the season's happening Sunday for this Panthers, so I kind of wanted to talk about this before that, just because should he go or should he stay? I had mixed feelings because I was very happy when he stayed here, that David Tepper wouldn't let him interview for other head coaching or other DC jobs. But that being said, I mean, this has been a historically bad year for the defense. I mean, last year they weren't the greatest, but they showed life and they kept us in games when our offense couldn't do anything. And this year was almost the complete opposite, where the latter half of the season, the offense kept us in games while our defense lost it. And there was like 2 or 3 games easily in the last drive or so that the defense was the culprit of losing it in overtime or on that last drive in the fourth quarter under 2 minutes. I mean, so at what point do we place blame on him? Yes, there wasn't they robbed the cupboards. Okay, all honesty, they took away so much from that defense, and a lot of them left. Jeremy Chin, Frankie Louvu, Brian Burns, like all these guys left, and then we had Derek Brown's injury and Shaq Thompson's injury. So does he get a bypass? But I mean, the worst part is, and I'm asking you seriously because I've been going back and forth in my head whether he needs to be gone or not. I had a lot of faith in him, but I mean, this team is so bad. I mean, last year they gave up, 22 points per game, and this year they're looking at giving up 30 points a game. Let me make sure my stats right, but opponents' points per game, we're giving up 31. So almost a 10-point difference. By far the worst in the league. I mean, by 4 points almost. So it's not like they're close. No, I mean, Dallas is giving up 27 and we're giving up 31. I mean, that's bad. 36 in the last 3 games. So, I mean, it's not like it's getting better. It seems like it's getting worse. I know we have Wooten starting at linebacker. I know that's not the plan, especially with Josie Jewell gone. It feels like he's a linchpin. So I don't know. I mean, I'm almost to the side of, at this point, I know you had some, lackluster talent on that side, but you're just giving up way too much, even with an inept, roster. How bad does it have to be to stick around? But at the same time, he did all right the year before. I mean, again, it wasn't like a all-time great cast here, But, 22 points per game. Gave up 293 yards per game. Most of that was on the ground. Again, his rushing defense is awful. Or 122 yards per game last year running the ball on us. Let's see. It wasn't the worst in the league, but it was by far not the close to being the best. About number 10. They were 10th in worst rush defense, so 20th. So I just don't know what to do with him. They couldn't get to the quarterback last year. They couldn't get to the quarterback this year up until midway through the season when DJ Wanham came back. So, guys, I want you to let us know what your thoughts are on Evero. Should he stay? Should he go? I wish we would have done this live because I think a lot of you guys would have had great opinions on this. Like, has anybody on this defense really taken off under him? Like, any guys we drafted. J.C. Horn's had a stellar couple years. I mean, he actually made the Pro Bowl. That's a little news segment that I forgot to mention. He's the only Pro Bowler. But where else has he made the improvement? I know we mostly focused on offense for the last couple of years, but it feels like not much is coming on that defensive side nothing looks happy. I mean, besides I guess Derek Brown did have a career year last year with him. And when you take out a guy who is by all means the best player on the defense and the linchpin of that 3-4 scheme, that could wait. Man, it's so tough. I would hate to be in Canales' wheelhouse of deciding what to do, because I think it has to be Canales and Dan Morgan making this decision. David Tepper has been very good about backing off this year, and I hope he continues to do that. So with that being said, I mean, Dan Morgan and Canales praised that scheme before, and he said he's seen what it can do. And Evero's did decent last year, did good in Denver. So, is it just the lackluster talent? I mean, I know he has to bring some guys in, but I mean, how much do you need to bring in to swap out a team that is giving up the worst rushing defense of all time in modern era? I need to say that. The Panthers are giving up, let me pull it up here. Sorry, guys. It's hard when I'm the only one. It was like 170 something last week, so I'm assuming it's going to be very, very similar. It is 176. 35 yards more per game than the next word. That's it. I think that one right just tipped me to let him go. 35 yards difference from Carolina to New York, from 31 to 32. That's an astronomical number. In the last 3 games, they have given up 206 yards. I don't care if this is a passing league now or not. You cannot give up 200 yards rushing and expect to win. It's just not going to happen. Not today, not tomorrow. Definitely not in the 90s or early 2000s. And no. No. Nope. Sorry, that just tipped my scales, Evero. I was on the fence, and now there's just no way I can even want you to be back. You obviously cannot stop the run, even when you know they're going to run the ball. 176 yards per game. I don't understand how teams pass the ball on this defense. I would just run it down their throats every time. Let's look at the yards per carry. See if I got that. Oh, opponents' yards per rush attempt. Here we go. Every time the opponent ran the ball on this defense, they averaged 5.1 yards per carry. 5.1. That is crazy. I don't care that they're a decent pass defense. You can't stop the run. You're not going anywhere. You may, if he gets his players and they look good, yeah, guess what? You can make the playoffs. Not being able to stop the run is going to kill you if you ever get to the playoffs. But honestly, I don't know if you could do that with Evero, period. So, as much as I liked him last year and I wanted him to continue here, he was a small glimmer of hope. I think he needs to be gone. Just this little mini segment of me talking for 10 minutes. Talk myself in to firing Evero. I'm not going to be heartbroken if he stays. I think continuity does play a big part in what we should want to build here in Carolina, because Canales is definitely our guy. I think Bryce Young has more than proved to be the guy going forward next year. In fact, the QB ratings at NFL had him number 11. And they said the loss wasn't on him, that he's improved mightily, that most teams would be winning with him at quarterback. So, hats off. Yeah, Bryce, you've got it. You bounced back. That was my biggest fear after having a bad game in Dallas. You looked great. It wasn't your fault. You had no run help last week. Just don't fall back. It looks like your confidence is there and it's going to stay there. So this game against Atlanta, just be smart. Play to your strengths. Don't hurt yourself. So that's what I got to talk. Please, like I said, let us know your opinion is on Evero, especially before the fire, Black Monday and stuff like that. Like I said, Canales safe, Dan Morgan safe. Overall, we're gonna do the season recap later this after this week's game, and do awards and stuff like we do every year. And I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, I would consider this season at least a win, if not a tie, if you really want to be negative, because they did only win a few games. But I think the growth we've seen out of Bryce Young proves that Dave Canales was probably the right choice. And yeah, that's coming from me, who was not on board with him. So good for you, Dave Canales and Dan Morgan. You did a great offseason. If you can have one more, I think it's going to be special long term. But we got to figure out this defense. We have to. Like I said, I don't have much in the news-wise, so I am going to just quick plug our plugs here. Please check out our shop at Team Public. It will be in our descriptions, a link in both our podcast, YouTube channel, and I will make sure it's on our Twitter handle as well, or in our Twitter bio. So please check that out. We have a few shirts. We're going to try to add a couple more. And if you have any ideas, let us know. I'll try to see what I can design. And that's a way to help the podcast. We're just a small group. We appreciate everything. Big shout out to all the guys and girls that listen, follow, chat with us on YouTube Live. We really appreciate it. It adds a lot. It really does. Past few years, it was very tough. Honestly, you wouldn't be getting this episode if it was last year, because I would not record solo because it was just too hard to do this. But, hey, we have a glimmer of hope, and we're liking where Bryce Young is headed, so we're feeling positive. We like this, and we're hoping to continue on doing this. So, like I said, check out our T Public store for t-shirts. Thank you for everyone who's already ordered one. They also do sweatshirts and other things too. You just have to click and look for what you're looking for. But with that being said, it's everyone's favorite time, gambling for the children. And as I am logging into our DraftKings profile here. This is our last week. We are currently sitting with $126 in the account to go to the St. Jude's Hospital at the end of the year. Like I said, we're betting every game here, and whatever it's in or whatever is in the pot at the end of the year, which after this week, it's the end of the year, will go to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So, gambling for the children. All right, starting it off, Carolina Panthers are 7.5-point dogs, over under 48.5. And you got to think about it too, that Atlanta's still playing for something. The Panthers aren't. And like I said, they could try to knock them out, but I don't know if that's in their goals. I mean, that under is very... especially with Michael Penix here. Just see if even Bijan Robinson has... Oh, man, I hate saying this. 110 plus rushing yards at plus 110. I mean, that's a pretty good one, honestly. Just, it's so tough. I mean, we're just so bad on that run defense. What does he have coming into this game? What is he averaging? He is such a good running back, by the way. Out of everything I hate about Atlanta, they have a good running back here. Steven, I miss you. Because I can't do this solo as well. Rushing yards. He's already got 1,200 rushing yards, averaging 4.7. I think that's it. I think that's how I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna go Bijan Robinson over 110 for $10 with the payout of plus 110. We are gonna do that. You know what? It's the last week. We're gonna go spicy and go 120 yards for plus 150. The payout will be $25. Done. That is gambling for the children. And we will, like I said, well, I'm not going to make a big check, but I will be doing something fun with that whenever we do donate that money to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. All right. Now, on to the game itself. We're going to quickly look at the injury reports. Like I said previously in this podcast, I don't expect most of these guys to play just because of the simple fact that there's not a point. Amario Barno, he's already ruled out. J.C. Horn, ruled out. Robert Hunt, questionable, but did not practice. He's not going to play, in my opinion. Josie Jewell, concussion. Well, he's not playing. Out. Lonnie Johnson, out. Mike Jackson, full practice, not injury-related, so, yeah, he'll be fine. He'll go out there. A'Shawn Robinson, neck, limited practice, questionable. I think he'll actually probably play. DJ Wanham, full practice, he's going to play. Taylor Moton, limited practice, knee. That one might be questionable. It really depends, I bet you. If that knee is any sore, I bet you he doesn't play. Miles Sanders, I don't care. You're worthless. Xavier Legette, limited practice, questionable. I want you out there. You need to try to show something because right now, you kind of been quiet a lot lately. You had some big drops, and then you just haven't even had drops lately, it feels like. Nick Scott, illness. He'll play. Jatavion Sanders, full practice, so he'll probably play. DJ Johnson did not practice, out. Personal. Hope whatever's going on with you, DJ Johnson, is good. Get better. Yeah, whatever that is. For Atlanta, these are all limited practice. Lorenzo Carter, D4, JD Bethred, Matthew Bergeron, David Onimata, Kevin King, Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Kyle Darrell Hodge, Nate Landman, Ross Dwelly, and Zach Harrison. I think all these guys are going to play. They're all limited practice. The only one that shows might is Kevin King, who's in a concussion. But I think A majority of them will probably play, and I don't see any big names besides Drake London that would be a huge get. And even then, I think if Drake London doesn't play, it's still not that bad. You just run the ball on us. Not rocket science. But overall, Atlanta's a solid team. They're the 19th ranked defense in the league, giving up 340 yards. But lately, they've been playing a lot better on defense, giving up only 298 in the last 3. So it will be hard. That being said, I mean, does Carolina want this? Does Carolina even want to try? That's where I'm sitting at with this game. Does Carolina want to try and play spoiler, or are they just hanging it up and saying goodnight? And if that's the case, okay. Just don't let Bryce get hurt. Look somewhat like a capable team. I don't see a way to win this game, especially with Chuba not playing. Maybe, like I said, Miles Sanders might play. Ooh, wow. So you're going to rest everything on Bryce Young. And honestly, if Robert Hunt and Taylor Moton aren't playing, it's time to see Dalton. I want to see Dalton out there because I don't want Bryce to get hit too much right before the end of the season. Little history lesson. When Drew Brees with the San Diego Chargers played a worthless game in a Pro Bowl season, he had a Pro Bowl season, and they had just drafted Phillip Rivers with a top 5 pick, and they were out of the playoffs. But last game of the season, they played Drew Brees. Like I said, had a Pro Bowl year that year, got injured in that game, and after that injury to him, no teams wanted to touch him except for New Orleans Saints. Miami flirted with him, but their doctors would not clear him. That's how he got to the New Orleans Saints. I don't want to have that happen here. If the O-line isn't going to go, don't send out Bryce Young. Bryce Young has been a very able-bodied quarterback. He hasn't been injured, knock on wood, seriously. But in a worthless game, let's not do it. Let's just not do it. I think he's proven that he can do it. So if you guys aren't going to start your O-line, your starters, I don't want to see Bryce out there. If 2 of them aren't starting, no. Especially that right side. All right. I don't know much else we can go over there. I mean, again, this is the last week of the season. Everybody's wrapping it up. So I think that's about it. I will go ahead and give my bold prediction. And my bold prediction is Bryce Young throws for 4 touchdowns. I'll say that because we're not going to run the ball at all. So maybe he just has to chuck it all the time. So we'll say Bryce Young 4 touchdowns. But my game prediction is Falcons 28, Carolina 24. Even though that means that Bryce won't get those 4 touchdowns, that's a bold prediction I don't think will happen. Either way, I want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. We will be back either after the game or sometime shortly after the next week just to do our season recap, and then we'll probably take a couple weeks off and do maybe a playoff discussion or something. Or see, who knows? Maybe something happens with Evero, and we'll hop on here and discuss it or something else. But we will be back. Thank you. Everybody out there, stay safe out there and keep pounding.